Hello, it's Greg and Guys, and we're back. We hope you're having a happy day wherever you're watching this video content from. As always, I'd like thank you for your continued support of Greg and Guys' social media and writing efforts. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome back, everybody. Today's topic, JLPT, the Japanese Language Proficiency Test. Full disclosure, not telling you anything that was on the test. Content, big no-no. You can get in trouble even after you take the test for disseminating such information on social media, across the internet, and such things. So nothing like that. But generally, I wanted to talk about my observations about going to the test, taking the test, coming home, and all that stuff. If it helps you, that's great. If it does not, hey, at least you're entertained. And we did some new content for Craig Hoffman 11 on X. You're appreciated, as always, for your likes and shares and all the rest there. And on our new Greg Grizzled and Gaijin Discord channel. Let's get to it. It had been about 10 years since I had taken the test. I had attempted it probably 4 or 5 times back in the day. My Japanese level was much lower, presumably, than it is today here in 2025. But I decided, as I had a bit more time this year for a variety of reasons, to take the test. It's offered twice a year, once in July and once in December, which I just took last Sunday. I applied, as you can, online, and I took the paper to the convenience store here in Japan, but it is possible to pay for the test via other means like credit card. I think they also take some e-pay things, but I don't have any of that, so I don't know. But yeah, I just went to the convenience store, paid the money, and they sent me a confirmation email, and I was ready. About 2 weeks ago, they sent me the test voucher, and you have to take that. I took some pencils, I took some water, I took some snacks, and my test site was in Sanemiya, not too far from the station, which was okay. Usually, in my past experience, the test sites had been really, really, really far. Like I had to take a train for like about 45 minutes, a bus for about 20 minutes, and walked another 15 minutes up a hill. And I got lost. And luckily, some old woman pointed me in the general direction of the test site, and I got there with like 15 minutes to spare. I will say now, in my experience in 2025, the rules for cheating and hats and all that stuff have gotten stricter, or at least more enforced. I think they were always rules. And also, the general vibe was a more serious tone. I didn't talk to anybody in my testing site. So I got on the train like 7:15 from my house. I went to Sanemiya station. They're doing a lot of construction around there. And I took a taxi because I'm having a little trouble walking these days. You cannot take a taxi or a bus or bike, such things, to the test sites generally, but I went to the town hall, which is not the test site, and then I walked a few minutes back the other way, and nobody seemed to care. And if you wanted to complain about that, you should see me walk. That aside, I went, and there was a line of people to get up there. The site was a little narrow and a little smaller than the other sites. I had been to bigger universities. I think Kobe University, whatever university is in Roko Station JR here, if you know that. And I had been to one near to maybe even Osaka. Quite a lot of travel to get there. But in this case, it was okay, but the venue was smaller. I think it was only in the morning. They changed it. Every test used to be in the afternoon. And now this time I went early in the morning, which was good because I could be done. I went up the stairs and took the elevator, and I sat down, and they checked the numbers, and I had to put my electronic device off and in a humongous envelope. I got the test, and they started on time, and I took it. My time management, I felt, was good. I had practiced and studied old tests a lot before. I had done a lot of watching of the YouTube content. There's a lot of people who want you to sign up for their lessons in Japanese schools here, and I kind of mixed and matched a variety of content. I had bought a book. I don't know if you can't really see it, but this is Nihongo 500. I thought it was good. It breaks it down into the kanji, the vocabulary, and the grammar points, like a leveled 1, 2, 3 in the book. So you can scan across for the kanji if you want to do that. You can go through the middle part only. It's like a 2-month course, I think, if you did it every day, which a lot of the books are. There's nothing special about that. And I had done some listening. There's a lot of old tests that you can go on and download and look at. I hadn't really taken a test, but I felt like I had made some effort over the last, like, let's say 6 months, and I had studied before. So I'm not new to the test, I guess, suffice it to say. But I sat down and I finished everything, and I took level 2. I finished everything on the test about a minute before the end. So I felt like I knew more vocabulary and kanji. The grammar was okay. And I felt like I had done okay in the reading. And then they talked and talked and they checked the text booklets and test papers in that section. And I felt like, okay, but there were very few bathrooms there and the lines were long. And they made it clear that you had to be back by the time for the listening exam. You couldn't get in or out. I went up and there was a long line and I came back down and just didn't risk it. So I really had to go to the bathroom. Note to the wise, if you can go before the test, definitely do that. And then the listening test I felt was a bit harder than I had expected, even despite living here for 20 years. But I felt like, as always, I fought through it. I don't really, in my English teaching experience, had to talk much and hear much Japanese to my surprise. Although I felt like I had done work, so I couldn't be terrible, but it seemed a bit harder than I would have expected for the most part. Of course, I'm going to get there's lots of easy questions, so I got those. But the middle to upper level, I was like, wow, even for somebody who's lived here a long time, they don't do natural kind of sounding Japanese. It's a lot more like trying to trip you up. So there's that. And I'm not good, full disclosure, at taking tests anymore. There's also that. I get kind of nervous. And I was, again, hungry and really had to go to the bathroom. So I took it and that was fine. And there's no real problem. They collected the test vouchers and they said, you can open your envelope. And they checked that to make sure that you didn't open it. You can't open it from the beginning, walking in there, all the way to the end of the test, not even during the break time. And so I opened it and I got my stuff together and I walked out. And there was another group in the afternoon. Now they had like the afternoon test. So it's split. That was like levels 3 and 4 and 5, I think. So yeah, it's a pretty seamless process. If the hardest part in general, as the times I've taken the test, the JLPT, is getting there. Worn out in the summer. It's freaking hot, and you walk up these mountains, and it's the bus lines and things. And often their little maps that they put on the vouchers are not the most accurate. And now, of course, Google is a lot easier. But when I first took the test, Google Maps and things wasn't quite as good. So I don't want to go on and on about this, but my general experience was I thought the staff was quite helpful. The rules have gotten more strict, at least enforced, as I said. And I felt like overall, if you studied and you'd done the work, it wasn't impossible as it might have used to be for me. Especially at that level. Again, pass or fail, I couldn't say I need 90 out of 180, which doesn't seem like a lot. But I read this morning, like pass rate for that is like between like 35 to 55%, depending on the level of the test and the time of year. Generally, I felt like in the old days, the summer tests were a little easier and the winter tests were a little harder. Not that it's pass or fail make for most people, but there's that. Again, if you're going take the test voucher, you do need some ID here in Japan. Like the foreigner card is enough. Passport is also okay. If you don't look like the picture now, you're not getting in. So be aware of that. If you look way different, if you somehow uploaded a picture that's not you, they're going to flag you. There were a couple of people who are like, is that really you? That looks old. They did say it. And so they'd never really questioned that before in my experience of taking the test. Take snacks and water. Although my venue, it was weird. Like they're like, it's a break, but you can't drink and eat in the room. You can't hang out in the lounge. So I would have had to go down 8 flights, eat a snack, drink my water, go to the bathroom, and make it all the way back up. And at that point, I had about 20 realistic minutes to do that. So I didn't do it, but I was hungry. Maybe different venues. I've read a little bit online. Not too many people posted much about it, but definitely people had gotten in trouble for violating rules. So, which happened every test I took. Somebody always got a yellow card. One time, somebody did get a red card. But now I think if you are openly breaking the rules, you're going to 100% get a yellow card, red card, and even getting thrown out of the test for sure. So that's definitely changed. I was a little shocked. The crowd was definitely diverse. Used to be more Chinese at that level and people like me. This time there were only like maybe one more Western looking foreigner like myself. A lot of Muslims took the test. To my surprise, there's an expanding Muslim population here. So clearly a lot of people from that background are studying. A lot of Chinese people were studying. And I did hear some Vietnamese. And the girl next to me was from India, clearly. So I did notice like there's a more, again, diverse foreigner makeup of the testing room, and the people waiting outside when I walked out for the next test were definitely varied, which is good for Japan. A lot of immigration problems, with the foreigners get, if you don't know, that they're getting thrown under the bus these days. So people are making a lot of effort to study Japanese and improve and try to enjoy life and become more a productive part of Japanese society. So I was appreciative of that. And overall, I felt like I thought it was not going to be a really positive experience. I was a little nervous. I'm older. I have a little trouble this year walking around and such. But in all, I felt like I got there okay. I took the test to the best of my ability, and getting out was okay. People were mostly lined up and followed the rules, and because you had to walk down a lot of stairs and then even to the elevator. And then out in Santa Mia was busy. It's a busy area. There's a lot of construction again going over. But yeah, if you have never taken the Japanese language proficiency test here, JLPT, I encourage you, if you're a Japanese studier, it's a good way to measure the Japanese level that you might have. And again, if you put it on a resume, especially at the level N2 or N1, it does help a lot of people find better work here, which never hurts. It's one thing to say you're good at Japanese, but in Japan, if you have the certificate and you can put it on a resume, that's great. And again, for people who are trying to get into school and things, and sometimes for people who don't have a long-term visa or a permanent resident visa or citizenship, getting a language ability does give you a few points. There's like a formula for getting a visa and extension in that. So it could help you. And those prices are going up. So the faster that you can get to a permanent resident visa, the better, I assume, because it's like 300, let's say 30,000 yen, I think, is the going consideration for like a visa application, and something like 100,000 yen, which is like 720 US dollars, and not decided at the time of this filming. So the sooner you could do that and not have to pay that again. I'm assuming that you'd like that because a lot of companies don't sponsor that. But yeah, just a quick overview again. I hope I passed. If I watch this 6 months from now and I didn't pass, I think I get the results middle of February online and maybe early March in my mailbox. So I guess that's like 2 months. I'll know whether I stunk completely last Sunday or I didn't. But I hope you enjoyed it. If you have your experiences of the JLPT, again, no test information and like that. But if you have general observations, I'd be interested to hear how other people's experiences, not only in Japan, but around the world, are for that test. And as always, we appreciate your support and have a great, great day.